Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Nancy D'Alessandro Pelosi will go down in history as the greatest speaker of all time. Her tenure has been iconic, legendary, historic, and transformational. The incredible pieces of legislation that she has moved into law through her brilliance, her wisdom, and her incredible grasp of how to get things done for the American people is too numerous to list right now, but it includes the Affordable Care Act, the American Rescue Plan, the PACT Act to provide health care to our veterans, CHIPS and Science Act that has brought domestic manufacturing jobs back to the United States of America, and of course, the Inflation Reduction Act, which included the largest investment in combating the climate crisis in the history of the world. As a result of Nancy Pelosi's historic tenure, the nation is better off today than the one she found upon her arrival in 1987. It's been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve with her, work with her, be mentored by her, learn from her, and get things done for the American people alongside her historic tenure as Speaker. This is day 37 of the Trump-Republican shutdown, and the position of House Democrats remains the same. We will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. We're ready, we're willing, we're able to sit down with our Republican colleagues anytime, any place, in order to reopen the government, to find a bipartisan path forward, and to decisively address the Republican health care crisis that continues to crush people all across the country. Tens of millions of Americans who are in the open enrollment period right now are seeing their premiums, copays, and deductibles skyrocket, in some cases, by $1,000 or $2,000 per month. That is unsustainable, particularly in this country right now, which is experiencing an affordability crisis. Life has gotten more expensive under Donald Trump and Republican policies. This is from a group of people led by Donald Trump who promised that costs were going to go down on day one. Costs haven't gone down in America. Costs are through the roof. Housing costs are up. Grocery costs are up. Child care costs are up. Electricity bills are skyrocketing. And now, because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, healthcare premiums are going to drive some people into medical bankruptcy, and tens of millions of folks won't be able to provide a doctor when they need one. That's why we have to decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis. And that's why we need Donald Trump to show some leadership. Stop hiding. Show some leadership. Direct Mike Johnson and John Thune, both of whom work for you. Donald Trump is the puppet master of congressional Republicans. Show some leadership, direct them to sit down so we can authentically enter into a bipartisan negotiation and end this Republican madness now. Questions? Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Leader Thune said this morning that the reason that Democrats won't agree to pass the CR that's on the spending before the Senate right now is because House Democrats are pressuring Senate Democrats to continue to hold out for political reasons. What's your response to the suggestion that it's because of your caucus that Senate Democrats refuse to support the CR that's been voted down 14 times?
Under the leadership of Chuck Schumer, Senate Democrats have been brave and courageous in standing up for the health care of the American people. The Republican health care crisis is not a made-up thing. It is devastating people all across this country, in rural America, urban America, working class America. small town America, suburban America, the heartland of America, and in black and brown communities throughout America. It's not a made-up thing, the Republican healthcare crisis, as Marjorie Taylor Greene continues to acknowledge. It's a real thing. The largest cut to Medicaid in American history. 14 million people or so are going to lose their health insurance because of what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill. Hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health centers are closing as we speak all across America, including in Louisiana. Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise could care less. They're doing in their own constituents. These things are happening because of the Republican healthcare crisis. This country actually faces the largest cut to Medicare, $536 billion, in American history, unless Congress acts by the end of the year, because of what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill. And now, since Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of Americans are seeing their health insurance premiums skyrocket, making seeing a doctor for themselves, their children, and their families unaffordable. At the same period of time, in these appropriations bills, Republicans are trying to gut the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health and undermine the ability of everyday Americans to actually receive vaccines. This Republican healthcare crisis is real. That's why House Democrats are standing up for the American people. It's not a partisan thing. It's a patriotic thing. That's why Senate Democrats are standing up for the American people. Not a partisan thing, a patriotic thing. We have to decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis. And John Thune is divorced from reality. I mean, it's a clown show over in the Senate. 14, 15 times you bring the same partisan Republican spending bill to the Senate floor, expecting a different result. That's the classic definition of legislative insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, has no ability to actually negotiate in good faith. And this has gone on week after week after week.
Mr. Leader, thank you. Good morning. I understand the Democrats' concerns about health care and the arguments that you've made about that, but do you think at some point with the crisis in the aviation industry, cutting off these flights, people concerned about air safety, air traffic controllers not getting paid, do you think that the air question will pivot some of your members and say, we have to open up the government because we're worried about people flying?
We want to immediately reopen the government. We want to find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people and actually drives down the high cost of living. What about what happened on Tuesday? Do Republicans not understand? They got wiped out all across America because they've made this country too expensive, and they failed to do anything about the affordability crisis. And as Democrats, our position is simple, and we're doing this for everybody. Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, we're doing this for everybody. We have to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. And we have an opportunity to try to do it with respect to health care. But the Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. On the aviation safety issue, we need a full and complete briefing so we can understand from the administration what the current status is, what the impact of administration layoffs have been prior to the Trump-Republican shutdown, because the administration has been going after the FAA since the beginning of their time in office, since January 20th. And we need to understand how we got to this moment, separate and apart from the Trump-Republican shutdown. The problem is it's like impossible to have a congressional briefing with House Republicans on vacation. 6 consecutive weeks they've canceled votes. I mean, it causes you to answer or ask the question, is there such a thing as a 4-ring circus? Because it's a circus right now in the House, in the Senate, across the country with Republicans, and certainly at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Mr. Leader, did the former her speaker notify you of her decision to retire, and does her retirement signal a shift in generational leadership for Democrats?
Yes to the first question. To the second question, we are all proud to stand on the shoulders of Nancy Pelosi. It's been a great honor for me to be able to serve with legendary members of Congress from the very beginning of my time in office. And that, of course, includes, right at the top of the list, Nancy Pelosi, or John Lewis, or Charlie Rangel, Elijah Cummings, Eddie Bernice Johnson, John Dingell. We can go through the list. These are legendary members of Congress. And of course, right at the top of that list is Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
Speaker Johnson says he won't even guarantee a vote on the ACA issue. Can you react to that?
Well, Mike Johnson has claimed over the last several weeks that Republicans are the party of healthcare. That's a joke. Why does this guy keep lying to the American people? Week after week after week, it's a new story. Because for several weeks, we were told that Republicans had a healthcare plan, and that Republicans had planned all along to address the Affordable Care Act issue, and the fact that these tax credits for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans are about to expire. And Republicans can't be bothered. This from a group of people who somehow found $40 billion to bail out their right-wing dictator friend in Argentina. $40 billion to put Argentina first, not America first. Republicans have put Argentina first, and they can't find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. This is part of the reason why Republicans were rejected all across the country, pummeled, shellacked, beaten down electorally all throughout America, because they have failed to address the affordability crisis. And instead, everything that these Republicans do, including their one big ugly bill, is about providing massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors and subsidize the lifestyles of the rich and shameless.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. With Speaker Emerita Pelosi not seeking re-election, this coincides with Mayor-elect Mamdani in New York City. So as he is on the shoulders of Speaker Emerita Pelosi and looking ahead, how will you work with him to make New York City better?
Well, as I've indicated, it's incumbent upon all of us, everybody in New York City, to make sure that the mayor-elect is successful. People who supported him and people who did not support him. There's a time for politics and there's a time to govern. And when the mayor-elect is inaugurated on January 1st, it's a time to govern.
Just going off of that question, then, how would you advise the mayor-elect to approach the president in how Trump has been threatening to withhold federal funds from New York? I guess, how would you advise him to go about handling?
Yeah, those private conversations will remain private, but we are not going to let any toxic president, attack the people of the city of New York.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. So you're saying that you want a bipartisan deal and that you have to address healthcare. I just want to clarify with you then. What you want is an ACA subsidy extension to be either in a CR or a legislation that will get a vote and will pass?
We're not going to negotiate the specifics in public, but as we've repeatedly said, we have to decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis, and that begins with dealing with the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
To build up that, would you see, because it seems conversations are continuing over on the Senate side, at least amongst the rank and files, would you see a standalone ACA vote as a cave? And what is your advice to those rank and file members right now?
What we have repeatedly said as House Democrats is that we will consider anything in good faith that is sent over to us from the Senate in a bipartisan way. But it has to have a path toward decisively addressing the Republican healthcare crisis, beginning with an extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Thanks. All right, lastly, let me just say, Trump has stunningly made the point that the economy in this country is going well. It ain't going well. Everyday Americans know that they are working hard, they are playing by the rules, and they cannot get ahead. They can barely get by. The cost of living in this country is way too high, and Republicans are clearly out of touch, focused solely on the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. As Democrats, we're going to continue to work hard to drive down the high cost of living, to fix our broken healthcare system, and to clean up corruption, to deliver an America that works for working class people. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.